Today, I want to share a really powerful fable with you. It's about two villages, a mysterious curse, and what happens when a community turns its back on one of its own. It's a story that's all about deep sorrow, a desperate hunt for answers, and ultimately, a really tragic path to redemption. You know, this whole story really boils down to one single question. What happens when a community just refuses to help someone in their darkest hour? Well, as we're about to see, the consequences can be more terrifying than anyone could ever imagine. So, the story kicks off with this totally impossible situation. You've got two villages right next to each other, and suddenly they find themselves living in completely different realities. And both of them are a living nightmare. It's like the world has literally been split in two by one single bizarre curse. And here's what that curse actually does. One village, they call it Sun Village, is thrown into this perpetual scorching daylight. The sun never ever sets, which means no sleep, just constant heat and exhaustion. Meanwhile, their neighbors in Moon Village are trapped in an endless, terrifying night. Two extremes, and both are completely unbearable.
Wow, you can just feel the agony in the Sun Village, can't you? This quote just captures that physical and mental torment perfectly. I mean, imagine the relentless heat, never being able to rest. The fear isn't just about being uncomfortable. It's this genuine belief that their whole world could literally just burn away.
And then you have the Moon Village, where the struggle is just as deep. We meet this young man, Harinder, whose mother has night blindness. Now, in a world of permanent darkness, her condition becomes this constant, unending crisis. It's not just an inconvenience, right? It's a total upending of their lives and a huge emotional weight on her son. And just when you think things can't possibly get any worse, they do. The villagers find out they are physically trapped. There's an invisible wall, like a massive sheet of glass, standing between the two villages. They can see each other suffering, but they can't cross. There is no escape, and there is no way to help their neighbors. They are completely and utterly alone. But look, this didn't just happen out of nowhere. Something, or more likely, someone, caused all of this. So now we're going to dig in and uncover the bitter roots of this curse and meet the person who designed all this pain.
And there she is, an old woman just consumed by rage who reveals that she's the one responsible. She actually hired a powerful holy man, a sadhu, to make her revenge a reality. This quote is just chilling. It's not just about anger. It's about this deep, burning need to make the villagers feel the exact same sorrow and humiliation that she once felt.
So why? Why do something so terrible? Well, it turns out this wasn't some random act of cruelty. It was born from an unimaginable grief. You see, her child was dying, and she went to her neighbors begging them for help, but they turned her away. They scorned her, and her child died. In that moment of absolute loss, her grief just curdled into a promise of vengeance. But even in all this darkness, there is a tiny glimmer of hope. Just when it seems like everything is lost, a hero emerges, and it's the person you would least expect, a young boy named Rishan, and he's about to risk absolutely everything. So how does he figure this all out? Pure bravery. Rishan actually sneaks near the old woman's house and overhears her laughing and plotting with the sadhu. And that's when he learns the secret. The entire curse is powered by the magical water inside the sadhu's special vessel, his kamandal. He now holds the key to saving everyone. And his plan is as simple as it is courageous. He decides he's going to sneak in, find that magical vessel, steal it, and use the water inside to undo this terrible curse. I mean, it is an incredibly dangerous mission for a little boy. But he knows he's the only one who can do it. And so, Rishan puts his plan into action. He actually succeeds, but salvation, it turns out, comes at a devastating price. This is the moment where everything changes, for better and for much, much worse. And it works. Rishan manages to get the kamandal and use its magic water, and instantly that invisible wall shatters. The sun finally sets in the Sun Village, and it rises in the Moon Village. Normal life is back. You can just imagine the massive collective sigh of relief and joy. But that feeling doesn't last long, because their victory required the ultimate sacrifice. The sadhu, furious at what's happened, catches Rishan, the boy who saved two villages, pays for his heroism with his life. The word you see here is balidan. It's a Hindi word that means sacrifice, and it says everything about the true price of their freedom. When Rishan's father, Kailash, finds his son's body, his grief is just all-consuming.
And just like the old woman before him, his sorrow instantly twists into a vow of vengeance. That tragic cycle is about to start all over again, only this time it's fueled by the villagers' own righteous anger.
What happens next is swift, and it is brutal. Led by a grieving father, the villagers are no longer victims. They have become an angry mob, out for blood, and they are about to turn that wheel of vengeance themselves.
Justice is delivered without any mercy. The mob descends on the old woman's house and burns it to the ground, with her still inside. Then they hunt down the sadhu to deliver his punishment. The original crime has been answered with more violence and more death.
So after all the pain, the curses, the deaths, what's left? The story doesn't end with a big celebration. It ends with this somber reflection. A truly brutal lesson has been learned, and now the survivors have to figure out how to build a future from the ashes of all this tragedy.
And this is really the whole story, right here in one tragic circle. It all started with a single act of neglect. That neglect then unleashed this devastating cycle of revenge. And it took the ultimate sacrifice of a child to finally break that cycle and teach the villagers where their true strength really lies, with each other.
In the quiet after the tragedy, the villagers make a solemn vow. They will no longer be two separate villages, but one single community. They finally understand that their fates are all tied together, that compassion isn't a choice, it's a necessity for survival.
Which brings us to this final lingering question. The villagers learned this vital lesson about unity and empathy, but only after unimaginable suffering and loss. And it kind of makes you wonder, must we always go through tragedy to find wisdom? Or can we learn to be better before it's too late?